Yeah, you are not the first person who said that, because a couple of people were like, "Oh my gosh, do you go to like UCLA or something? Like that's his California, that's his Los Angeles." So I was like, "No, I probably shouldn't have worn that sweater for that one," but I realize now.
Awesome. I can't wait to talk to you about your journey in music. That's what this podcast is all about, and how you got to where you are now. And we'll talk about your new record. And
Sounds good.
happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much.
I did see it. Your record came out on your 19th birthday, or were you celebrating it on the 19th birthday?
Yeah, so it was actually supposed to come out on May 1st, but then I'm like, you know what? May 5th is my birthday, so why not just club these two important milestones together and have, a bash in quarantine.
I love it. That's amazing. So cool. Okay, well, let's talk about how you got into music originally. Where were you born and raised?
So I was actually born in Dubai, and I came here when I was really little to Toronto, Canada. So now I'm Canadian, and I love it here. It's something that I feel like this is where the music scene kind of is, aside from LA and stuff. So I'm really, really fortunate and grateful to be part of this, land of the Bieber, of the Weeknd, and Drake. So
sure, a lot of huge artists out of Toronto.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Yeah. They're, taking home billboards, Grammys, all of it. So yeah.
Sure. Very cool. So you were born in Dubai?
Yes.
How long were you there for?
I was there for like a few years. So I came here when I was 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the main part of my heritage is Portuguese though. So I'm a little bit mixed. It's like an exotic cocktail, as people like to say. So a little bit from everywhere, you could say.
Very cool. And now you're in Toronto. Still there in Toronto?
Still here. Yeah, Toronto.
Okay. Awesome. I did see that you started music around 4 years old. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I've always been into music. I feel like, I really like to say that music kind of found me. Music chose me. I've always loved to just sing and dance and perform around the house. And I feel like if I wasn't doing music, I don't know what I'd be doing, because music has always been there for me. And I always feel like my passion and my purpose has always been to make others smile and feel good, no matter through whatever I do, but it has to be kind of related to the arts. So I feel like music is that medium for me to be able to express these feelings with other people and just like put a smile on their face.
I love it. So like, what'd you get into first? Like, are you dancing, musical theater, singing? Did you start piano at an early age? Tell me about where it all kind of started.
Yeah, well, you covered it all, but it mainly started with singing. Yeah, that was great. So it started with singing because I'd love to just do these living room performances for my family and stuff. So they loved that, always made them feel good. And then I started venturing into Broadway. So I loved musical theater. I would do these Broadway performances like every summer. I would play these like lead roles in like Shrek and stuff and The Lion King. And it was really fun. It was really great for me to be able to kind of encompass everything related to the arts all in one. So the acting, dancing, singing. And I did some hip hop dance for a while, as well as like classical music. I've always wanted to be classically trained. So I grew up learning classical music, everything that went along with like history of it and theory. And I just feel like it's made me so much more of an educated musician that I am today. So I'm really grateful that my parents actually supported me to do all of that and everything that I wanted to kind of step my foot into.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So did you go, you talked about you went to like a summer camp or something that did musical theater?
Yeah, so it was like this program where I did Broadway performances every summer. So we'd work on it for a whole year and then have this huge showcase in the summertime.
Oh, wow. So it's a year-round thing. So all year you're working towards this summer performance?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You started playing what, piano at an early age?
Yeah, so I started playing a bit of piano first, and then I taught myself a little bit of the guitar, and then it just went back and forth from there. So now I'm a little bit rusty with guitar, but I'm hoping to get back into it now that I have some more time on my hands. But yeah, piano was kind of the first instrument that I took to, and the instrument that I used to write most of my songs.
Okay. And I did read that you started writing songs super early, like 10?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so at that age, they weren't the most deepest of topics and stuff, but they were pretty deep for like a 4 or 6-year-old. I just be inspired by anything that I saw or heard around me. Things like flying. Like I've always wanted to fly, and it's like if I could have any superpower, it'd be to fly. So I wrote a song about flying and like incorporated north, south, east, and west, like the compass into it, and just how you just let the wind take you wherever you want to go. So it was very like philosophical for that age, but it was interesting, and I just love to write lyrics, and then the melody kind of came at the same time. So at that age, I didn't know what songwriting was. I just knew that I did this thing where I poured my heart out onto a piece of paper and then just put music to it. So at that age, that's what it kind of started off to. And from then I just kept going.
Wow. And you put an EP out right around 13?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow. Okay. So where did you record the EP?
EP was recorded in my home studio because that was the time when I just started kind of dipping my toes into recording and stuff like that. So that's when I knew I wanted to be a recording artist, because that entire EP was written in a matter of a few days because of inspirations from, being bullied and stuff. So in school, that was like one of the darkest times in my life. So that's the time where I knew music was always going to be there for me, and music is what inspired me to continue songwriting. So now I look back at that moment, and I don't look at it with regret or anything like that. I see it as, this opportunity where I first found my passion and love for music. So I'm grateful for these like experiences that kind of brought me to where I am today.
Mm-hmm. When you said you recorded that at your home studio, when did you start learning to record? Like, how did that whole journey start?
Right. So I just had GarageBand. So I literally just sang my vocals, and I did have help from a producer friend. He was just testing out the waters with production as well. So I would just kind of send him stems and my vocal chops for him to just like coordinate all of that. But yeah, there was pretty much like a home basement kind of project. So I would go to his basement and work on it there and stuff. So yeah, he's my dad's friend, but yeah, it was really nice to be able to put like a home project together. A lot of people are like, artists are being able to like produce things in their basements and bedrooms. So I love that. It's very authentic.
Was it cool to have like a recording of your voice?
Do they have? Yeah, they
No,
did,
I said, was it cool for you? Like when you finally, like, was it like to hear your voice recorded and like this whole mix of songs?
Yes, for sure. 100%. It was weird at first, being able to hear your own voice like recorded, because they always say the way you hear yourself in your head is like completely different from when you hear yourself on a recording or something. So it was a little bit of a startle at first, but I loved it. It was a great feeling to just be able to record and, get vocals on a track and then fit music with it and layer it. So it was really a fun experience, and I love doing it.
Wow. And with that EP, did you do anything with it? Did you try to sell it, or like, were you playing little shows around town?
Yeah, so wherever I had, open mics around locally and just competitions, singing competitions, I would perform the original music. But at that point, I didn't have too much knowledge about the industry, so I didn't really know what to do with it, but I just wanted to share it with people. So I'd just be like to my friends, hey, check this out. Like, I hope you like it, and things like that. So it was very raw. So I didn't advertise it or promote it too much. Like I just wanted it to be out there. And, I was going through it a few days ago. I'm like, should I take this stuff down? Because it's not the best quality at all. But it's part of me. So it's part of the way I grew up. And I want to share that part with my fans and followers. So I don't think I will be taking that down anytime soon.
That's awesome. So when did you put it up online? Around that same time?
The EP, it was literally around the same time. So my elementary school years, I think I was in like grade 7, grade 8 when this was happening. So it happened very quickly. Like the writing of it, of course, it was all self-composed, self-written, and then co-produced. So I just released it as soon as I could.
Wow. Okay. So and right away you put it online. Where'd you put it? Like SoundCloud?
It was on SoundCloud. SoundCloud was pretty big. So yeah, SoundCloud. I don't think it was on Spotify. I didn't really know too much about Spotify, but it was on YouTube for sure.
Oh, okay. So you used YouTube as the outlet as well?
Yeah. Because I used to make my own lyric videos for it, and I still do today. I'm much better at it today than I was back then. But lyric video is something I love doing because it's that visual that really kind of really complements the music that I want to show people. And I like doing it myself because I feel like my vision is my own vision, and I don't really think I'd be able to kind of share that with someone else to kind of create that for me. So that's why I love doing it, until I find, these people out there that are willing to kind of work on my vision with me. But for now, yeah, I like to do the lyric videos.
That's cool. That's cool. And then I did see also that at 16 is when you finished your training as a classical voice.
Yes, yeah,
And
vocalist, yeah.
where did you were you taking, like, did you go to like an art school or something?
Yeah, so it was actually, it's the Royal Conservatory of Music. So it's this music program where they really shape you into, like, they teach you classical and stuff like that. So I do exams for those constantly until I was 16, because then I finished kind of all of the levels. But then at that point, I was qualified to actually be a vocal mentor. So I teach students. I love teaching them music, and I do drama sometimes for them as well. But yeah, it's really nice because it gave me the foundation for everything musical, like history and the theory of it, and vocal classical singing as well, because I feel like I'm so much more knowledgeable today with it than I'd feel without.
Mm-hmm. And well, I mean, that's amazing. So you're able now to teach other people how
Yeah.
to sing. And at 16, you're doing this. You put out your record a few weeks ago, and you just turned
Yes.
19. So tell me about the years in between, like 16, 17, and 19. Were you working on this new record, or what were you pursuing at this point?
Right. So during the time, like kind of before it, as you said, I've always been songwriting. So I've always had these songs that I wanted to put out there. But the thing is that I was in school. So I was in high school and I was keeping up with exams and stuff. So what I did in my kind of 11th year, so grade 11, I took grade 12 courses earlier as much as I could to just be able to give myself that free time to work on more music. So that's why I'm actually grateful for the extra time I've had during this pandemic. As you know, it's been hard on all of us, but for me, and I think for a lot of creators, they can say that they've had some extra time to be able to focus on their craft and just dedicate themselves to it fully. So I'm glad I've had that time to now be able to get these ideas. Like what was an idea a year ago this time is now shared with the entire world. So I'm really happy, and it's a crazy experience to feel that, you know, something from my head just last year is now something that people are singing along to, these ideas, these thoughts. So it's been a really wild ride, but I'm proud of myself for being able to just kind of balance it all, because I'm also a freshman at university now. So
Oh,
just
wow.
trying to, yeah, just trying to balance it all out. But yeah, I'm grateful for the support I've been given, and just like the love that the fans have been showing.
Oh, wow. Okay. So were you graduating high school like last year when the pandemic hit?
Yes, it hit us, the 2002 class babies. That's the year. So we didn't get a graduation or a prom, which I was upset about. Like
Oh
they didn't
my
even do
gosh. That's
anything.
what you were like in
Yeah.
the worst place for this. Okay.
Yes.
I haven't really talked to anybody that had to deal with this. Okay. Now
Oh,
I'm
really?
very curious. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like this class this year kind of went down in history. So I'm glad I was able to kind of write, like leave a mark in history through my album, like actually write something that says, you know what, this entire thing was actually put together during the pandemic. So it's something that I'm always going to remember. And I hope that, you know, people are able to relate to that in any way they can. But yeah, it was done during the pandemic. And that's actually how the pandemic kind of started for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried. Like, this is how it's starting off. No graduation. They didn't even do anything online for us. So I'm like, how is this going to work out? But I just kind of stayed focused and released an album.
That's awful though. I mean, that's something you're working your whole, like, life is
True. Yeah.
toward so far, you get
No.
to graduate, be around your friends, and you get to accept a diploma and that whole
Yeah.
deal, do the prom and all
Walking
these.
down the stage. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So that was all taken away from you.
Everything. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How were your like peers? And I mean, sure, that must have been so rough.
It was, and they were so sad as well. I think they tried to have like a little home prom in their backyards, but I don't think it ended up happening because we had another lockdown. So it's like on and off here. It's like lockdown, no lockdown, lockdown, no lockdown. So we're just really trying to go with the groove and just follow it wave by wave.
Because you guys are back in a pretty intense lockdown, right?
Yeah, now we are. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So has it really let up at all up there?
there was like a brief window, I think, where things were starting to open up. So that's when I kind of tried to do as much as I could then, like, you know, head into the studio and stuff, do as much as I could during that little window. But then after that, now it's closed back again. So I'm just like writing at home.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you said this whole record was kind of put together during this quarantine?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you're pretty angry, I would think, inspired, and I would be irritated. I mean, angry if I worked my whole career towards something, or not a career, but like life, you know, you're going through kindergarten and, you know, middle school, elementary, you're in high school, you're about to graduate, and then they just take it all away from you. Like, does that reflect in the EP or in the album at all?
Actually, yeah, I love the way you put it, because I was super frustrated about it at first, but then, like you said, you know, I channeled all of this kind of feelings through the music, and I wanted to kind of create the music that I would have wanted when I was kind of going through it. So what I would feel good listening to. So I wanted it to be that, you know, themes of self-empowerment and hope for people to be able to realize that, you know, everything starts from within. Like you have to find the happiness within yourself in order to kind of help others or inspire others. So I wanted to make it really something that people could relate to, so that they kind of know how to deal with just like different experiences.
I love that. So you really took this whole negative situation and tried to turn into something positive, at least.
Tried my best. Yeah. Tried to.
I did see that you were like taking classes. Are you going to college now? I saw something on your Instagram where you were like doing homework or something.
Yeah, those were my final exams, because I just finished my freshman year of university at the University of Toronto. So yeah, that was like, I think, wrapping up exams. So I was really excited to share that with people. I was like, yes, you got this. And it was like a reminder for people who are scrolling through their phones, like, no, get back to work. So, yeah.
So you're going to the University of Toronto. I was kidding. So at first, I'm from San Diego, California. And
nice.
I thought your shirt, you're wearing like a green shirt. And the way that the letters were kind of combined, it said California on the bottom. And then it says San something. And I'm like, does that say San Diego? And then I flipped over and it doesn't, but I couldn't really make out exactly where the shirt was from.
You know, yeah, you are not the first person who said that, because a couple of people were like, oh my gosh, do you go to like UCLA or something? Like, that says California, that says Los Angeles. So I was like, no, I probably shouldn't have worn that sweater for that one, but I realize now.
Yeah, I thought it was like for UCSD or something, like, or, you know, University of San Diego. I was like, oh wow, she goes to school in San Diego. That's so rad. And then like the next picture, it was a little bit more like the shirt was kind of spread out a bit more. So then I knew it didn't say San Diego, but I still couldn't read it. What city does it say?
This is, I think, San Francisco.
Oh, it's in San Francisco. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was like, no.
Good question, though. And like, I like your attention to detail.
Well, thank you. And on that too, though, I mean, do you feel like your college years were kind of taken away too? I mean, you don't get to experience going to college and doing the dorm thing and like, you know, being.
It was definitely weird the first year, because it's not what I expected at all. Like, I didn't get to meet any of my professors or new peers and stuff like that. But we tried our best to communicate through like online platforms like Discord and stuff and Zoom. Okay. It is different. It's not the same, but I mean, we tried our best to, you know, get through. So I hope we get to go back next year, but it was good. I think we all did really well for our first year going through something this big. It's a big enough change on its own, and doing it differently, I just feel like, you know, we're all kind of superheroes. So we got to give that to ourselves.
Sure. Well, I'm curious, since you were in high school when, you know, your career was really going, and, you know, your Instagram followers are huge. You're verified on Instagram. Was that kind of like were people, your peers in high school before the pandemic hit, were they like jealous of you or envious? Like, did you feel any of that?
Well, definitely. Yeah. I feel like, I don't want to say it's kind of like a Hannah Montana moment, but I would say a majority of my friends didn't know what was going on. They had like no clue about what I was doing. But yeah, it's hard to kind of keep it to yourself when you have to kind of leave class midday to be like, oh, I have a performance to get to, or I have an interview or something like that. So it's kind of hard to keep in. And I just kind of wanted to keep it separate. But I mean, the friends who do know, like my closest ones, they're supportive, which is nice. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of people that just kind of, I guess, don't like the music I'm making because they don't like me, I guess. But it's fine.
Well, they don't like that you're successful.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been telling me.
They're just jealous that you have, 27,000 followers and they have 40. And they post a picture and it gets 5 likes, and you post one, and I'm just looking at your most recent one that gets like, 600 or whatever, 1,000. It's like, that's gotta be, I don't know. I feel like I'm much older than you, and I can't imagine being in high school and like having this fan base that you do, and having the people just, I'm sure there's so many haters. There has to be, right? So many.
And I try my best to kind of, there's been a whole amount of time where I was like getting so, like, I beat myself up about these things. I'd be so let down by it. But now I'm like, you know what? I want these haters to have love. I'm sending my love to them because it really sounds like they need some love in their life.
Right. Yeah. Because it's got to be something where everyone sort of uses that as like some sort of, popularity or some clout or some standard, is like, I have this many followers and you only have this many. And then you're like, well, I have more than probably this whole school combined.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's funny. That's a good point, because, there are these people that never even have talked to me in school and like never said a word to me in the halls or anything. But now, since, I recently like got verified, which is something super cool, they're noticing these things and they're reaching out to me. They're like, hey, bestie, what is up?
Right.
Like, okay. Oh, who are you?
Do you have, how do you react to that? I mean, I know how I'd react, but I don't know. You're a little bit more positive in that end. It seemed like you'd be a lot nicer about it than me.
Yeah. On the inside, I'm like fired up and I'm like, come on, like really, I know what's going on here. But I try just not to show it and let it get to me. Like I take it with a pinch of salt, and I don't have time to respond to like all of these DMs. I try to focus on the fan DMs, mainly the ones that I can respond to. But for people that are not really worth my time and energy, I try to protect my mental space and just my physical space as well, and not kind of let that come into my world. I try to stay in my own world and just not let these negative things like get to me.
Sure. I mean, I love that, because like I said, I'd be like, yeah. When you see you recently got verified on Instagram? What was that like? I'm sure that's a huge, getting that like.
It is, yeah.
Thing.
It's a really nice, like kind of self-recognition thing. Yeah. It's knowing validation. That, things are happening, things are going. So it's exciting. Yeah. That's
cool. That's so cool. Well, let's hear about your new record. Like we talked about, like, obviously trying to channel some of that frustration into the album. So this whole the whole record was written during quarantine, and then you decided to put it out on your 19th birthday, which is awesome. What was that like?
Thank you. The entire experience was surreal. It was crazy. It was all good things, though. I loved being able to just kind of give every song its own creative journey and identity. Because while the main kind of sound of my music is pop, I like to incorporate subgenres into it, because I think that's what creates like the uniqueness of my sound. I love to incorporate, maybe my early roots of like rock. I love rock music. I grew up listening to it because my dad would play it all around the house and stuff. So rock and pop is something that I really have always wanted to kind of mesh together. And I think it's a good sound to have. So I've done rock and pop. I like to do pop with some reggaeton in it and some Afrobeat. So it's like flavors and hints of a little bit of everything, just to kind of create that sound that I really want. And I think that's what creates the consistency of my sound. Some people are like, does she not know what she wants to do? No, it's because I'm a lover of all genres. And I feel like I want to have that pop with these like different elements of different genres that I love.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah. So tell me the name. How did you get your name? Is it Cmagic5?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a name that I came up with when I was really little. So the C corresponds to the initial of my first name, which I may reveal in the future. And then the 5 is my lucky number because it's born on May 5th, 5th day of the month. And then magic is, as cheesy as it sounds when you're little, this is what came to mind. I've always wanted people to just experience the magic I felt when I've listened to music. And I just wanted people to experience that, you know, music is magic, and, you know, it really is this universal language. And we've clearly seen it in the pandemic. It's brought us together in some of the most hardest and challenging of times. So it's been there for us. And I just really I love the way it makes us feel.
I love it. And I want to say that you are so well spoken, and you've been doing this for 30 years.
Thank you so much. I just like to talk, you know, like during the pandemic, you don't get too much social interaction. So it's like, I love talking to you.
Well, I do have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yes, for sure. So my number one thing that I like to say to aspiring artists is, yes, of course, be inspired by whoever around, like any other artist that you admire. But I think true artistry comes from inspiration and not imitation. So always just make sure that you're finding what makes you unique, and do what's right for you, and embrace your uniqueness and what makes you different, and stand out against the rest. And always take care of your mental health, because I always like to think that, you know, your mental well-being is just as important as your physical well-being. I mean, you get checkups every year and stuff like that. So it's always good to check in on yourself and your mental health and see how you're doing, because without that, that's the foundation. You can't do you can't perform to your fullest potential if, you know, you're not mentally well. So just make sure you're constantly checking up on that. Take time to yourself, and just do what you love, and don't let anyone stop you from doing what you love. Bringing it backward.